Hey, this is Harish Chandramali. You are watching Influencing Entrepreneurs.
After years of teaching entrepreneurship and consulting business owners, I realized that true knowledge comes from the wins and losses of those entrepreneurs. These are the stories of those business leaders. I'm Casimir Ward, and this is Influencing Entrepreneurs. I'll have general questions and things like that, but just kind of as we get started, like Harish, what kind of books are you reading right now, based on kind of the work you're doing?
Books?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm reading any books at this point.
No audiobooks, no podcasts, anything like that?
I listen to a lot of podcasts, especially the YC podcast and other like founders podcast. I do listen to podcasts, but books, I haven't read any books recently.
It's funny because every business group I'm in, everybody's recommend me, you got to read this book. You got to read, 14 Habits of Being Successful and all of these things. So I get thrown at them left and right, but I'm much more of a podcast person.
I think, candidly speaking, I feel like my whole day is just so swamped with work. Books and podcasts are the last thing that comes to my mind.
Do you have anything you got unwind with? Any TV shows or music or things like that, or
TikTok. I
TikTok?
watch a
Oh,
lot of TikTok at night.
oh,
Um, I watch Tamil movies like my mother tongue movies on weekends
uh-huh.
so that I forget like other things.
So what's on your TikTok feed? Just all tech stuff, or it is comic books, it is Legos, it is a lot of technology, everything from new computers and gadgets and all that along the way. So
For me, it's a lot of soccer.
soccer, okay. All right. Today we're here with Harish Chandramali, and thank you so much for being here, Harish.
Thanks for having me.
So I know we were chatting a little bit about some of our books and things like that, but on top of all of that, where did your entrepreneurial journey begin? Did you know from a young age that you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Hell no. When I was a kid, I probably wanted to move to a city, get a job, have an apartment with a nice shower with
Yeah.
electric heater. That's all I
Okay.
wanted, most of the things.
Did it even matter what the job was going to be? Was it literally just trying to get to a lifestyle you wanted to live?
I wanted to be always like a computer like engineer. I loved computer science. So I think up to before going to university, it is always a toss up between like math and computer science. The two subjects I'm really good at, and I was bad as an understatement when it comes to other subjects. So I know these are the only two things I'm going to pick.
So anyway, is you kind of you find out what you're good at in school. With it being math and science, like what does your career unfold into?
So I mean, actually, computer science I also remember because that's the only place where I get air conditioning. So going to computer lab means you get to be in air conditioning while growing up.
So
Uh,
you literally had lifestyle in mind, like where can I be comfortable and where can like that's what I'll do my best work.
Pretty much. But I think most of the changes happened when I went to my undergrad because that's when I first met like people from cities, like people who are way smarter than me.
Yeah.
And also the exposure, right? It's like growing up, I didn't know how much exposure I lacked being from the place where I was from. But the moment I go to a city, I realized world is bigger than what I was dreaming. And that's pretty much when I think I started like, okay, let me do masters. Let me try to go to one of the best universities out there. Let me try to join one of the best companies out there as software engineers. The
And what
entrepreneurship.
city was that? What was the city that kind of captured your heart?
So it's a place called Coimbatore. It's not like a big city, but it's definitely bigger than my hometown. But in my university, you will see people from Delhi, Chennai, like all these big cities coming to the university. So you make friends with people outside of your hometown, people with various degrees of exposure, various degrees of lifestyle.
So and then from there, did you have a feeling like where the next city was going to be?
So there, I went to my undergrad. They picked like people who are really bad at English, the bottom 20 people out of 100 people class.
Uh,
And I was one of them. But looking back, that 1 or 2 year of training, a special training, went a long way. Like after that, I was able to write GRE, come here. So After that, I have always chased my jobs rather than cities. So once I did my undergrad, I took a job in this garage company called Cordis. I don't know whether you have ever heard of Bond Systems.
Sorry, I have not. But bond systems?
Yeah, so Bond Systems was the biggest ERP before SAP. So Bond, after Bond like went down, he started another ERP company called Cordis, and that's where I started my career.
Uh-huh.
And while being there, I did my GRE, I did my applied for masters. Out of everything, Hopkins seems to be the most prestigious university I got in.
Mhm.
So that led me to pick Hopkins.
So so you get there and you do it all based on work. Like what is that? What do the first few years look like?
Back in India, the first few years of work was fun in the sense like everything is new, everything is shiny, everything is challenging. You're just out of college, right? Like
Yeah.
education system is so much different from real world.
Yeah.
So the 2 years was just more of like learning.
Yeah. What kind of inspired you?
One, people around me were every single person around me were smarter than me. So I always felt like there is so much I can
Yeah.
do to catch up to people.
Yeah.
And the challenge itself, like when you work for a company like MongoDB, the technical challenges are fun. It's not like given to you in the platter, right? You need to figure things out. And
Okay.
especially as someone who was like who was on my own rotating between teams, I had more ownership on things I do.
Yeah.
I design, I implement end to end, which was something I really enjoyed.
Yeah. So you're with them for about 4 or 5 years, correct? MongoDB,
Yes, it was also around 4 years.
right? So you're there, and then you decide to leave. Where do you leave to go to?
So that's where I started Flaire. So I met my co-founder. I mean, even before that, like the way the whole thing happened is through a venture studio. So I was at Mongo, I was pretty happy there, but a venture studio came and be like, hey, you might be interested in just building something on your own. And I think while at Bloomberg, me and my Hopkins friends, like roommates, we started a company called Ride Engine. In India at the time, like everything came together. It's like the first peer-to-peer platform. People started using it. We got like free media coverage. I mean, looking back, I appreciate how much we did at the time. But unfortunately, at the time, like everyone just graduated from Hopkins. We all had education loan. So at the time, financially, we were not at a position to do some venture on our own. But then thankfully, 4 years at MongoDB gave me that financial freedom. It felt like the right time to just explore what is out there. And I met my co-founder Rina, and at the time we went to this store called ONS in Soho, New York. I kind of see how they operated. I sat in their meetings, I listened to their calls. It immediately felt like what one, you don't want to start a company for sake of starting a company. You need to be able to add value. So what I observed there is like one, Oracle NetSuite is a dominant player when it comes to back office operation automations and everything. And there is no way I am going to disrupt that industry with this startup funding. The second thing is like Shopify has done a tremendous job when it comes to online commerce, websites, selling products.
You said
Like,
Shopify.
yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to compete with them as well. And then there is this niche segment of SMBs for whom back office operations are still outdated. They don't have money to do the same Oracle or NetSuite implementation. And that's a segment I figured I can add value by extending my MongoDB database knowledge
Hmm.
to build one of the flexible ERP out there. So that excited me. The concept that like there is no clear winner and I
Yeah.
can add value with whatever money we have raised so far
Yeah.
made sense for me to like leave Mongo and start something on my own.
So do you go in where it's going to be all small business, or do you kind of niche in into the, uh, into what do you call it, like into certain industries?
So we started with fashion because fashion is one of the places where planning and everything comes early in the cycle because it's so seasonal and it changes like 4 times a year. Even like a 30 to $50 million brand has to pay a ton of money for ERPs. Whereas in other verticals, I see that like people can get away without having a back office operation even when they're 100 million. So that's one of the reason why we started in fashion.
So as you built that up, do you go out fundraising first, or do you start it as a side project, or do you decide to just say, I'm out of here, I've got a new passion?
So we started as a part of a venture studio. That means you kind of start with like $1 million check
So
upfront.
wait. We can't just gloss over. So you start out of, what was the name of this?
Venture studio, venture
Oh,
studio.
Venture Studio. So tell me a little bit about Venture Studio.
The venture studios is where they will figure out like, hey, these are the problem spaces we are happy to invest in. Like every venture studio is very different. Some would be like, hey, once the founders are in, we will invest in founder. Some would be like, this is our problem area. We will put in money, figure out how to like make a business in that area. So everyone has different thesis, but at the end of the day, the thing with venture studios, like they will incubate you, but they will also take a fair share of equity.
So you do that. How long does the process take going through this?
Uh, it's not like a switch, right? Basically, you just talk to them, and then there is a bunch of ideas, bunch of different things. You do like a, it's kind of like a dating exercise. You just go and like try to figure out if anything interests you, because there is no real reason for me to leave my job at MongoDB and start something new. I was very comfortable there, getting paid well there. So I think it took me around like 3 months when I found something. I'm like, okay, this sounds something interesting that I would leave a comfy job and take the risk.
So you after 3 months of going through the program, you do find an idea that turns out to be Flair, and you get people that are willing to be behind you with some capital.
Yes. It's
Now,
not like program as in you are doing full time, right? It's just more like on weekends you try to see, hey, is this something that interests me? Is there something I can solve? Is it something like I would love to work on for the rest of my life to a certain extent?
so while you get that funding, like, are you automatically, based on this concept, are you giving away a lion's share of the ownership? Is it like, what is the structure around this?
So every venture studio is very different. And typically venture studios take anywhere from like 7 to 20%, I guess. So the structure varies. But at the end of the day, you give up that equity to get an upstart, especially as a first time entrepreneur, to get that cash.
Okay. So when you come up with that and they're on board, how big's your founding team?
It's just me and my co-founder. I consciously did not hire anyone until I got my first customer live because I know I can code. And so we got our first signature, we got our first customer live. Only when we crossed like 60, 70K bookings, that's when I hired my first engineer.
Okay. So a lot happening in this time. So let's talk about this. You end up getting a check to start up your company. Do you quit MongoDB right then and there? Like, what do you, yeah.
Unfortunately, my situation is a bit complicated because I'm in H1B.
Uh-huh.
So basically, I had to wait for my H1B transfer.
Okay.
Uh, so I was at MongoDB for another month or so
Okay.
for the H1B transfer to go through, and then I joined full time.
Okay. So you were able to leave. You didn't have to do both jobs at once for a long period of time.
I can't because that's a part of H1B regulations. There are so one of the reason I went through Venture Studio is because I don't want to give visa as a reason for not starting a company. When you are in H1B, it's a little bit tricky to take care of all the nuances to be able to run a company.
What does day one look like? Or do you get right to coding? Do you get right to sales? Did you print up your first business card?
I think the first, not just a day, first month to 2 months were just listening. We booked 4 to 5 meetings with people in the industry, people who run shops, people who do planning, and we were just listening. That's it. Straight up, it's a listening exercise because you figured out the market, but I still don't know the problem I'm solving. I still don't know for which I would get my first pay check. It's like you can't build in vacuum, especially as a startup, because you need to get customers, you need to go step by step along the way. So the first month to 2 months were just listening to figure out what type of problem would get us the first customers.
So you're using this time to get R&D. What is the running theme that you say, aha, this is the problem that people will pay for me to solve?
One, we were looking at like planning part. There are so many other startups doing the same thing. Inventory planning. Two, when 2020 came, inventory planning software are some of the first software that was cut out of budget. So we don't want to be in the space. Uh, and then we were thinking through like automations and everything. So one of the thing that like the thing that stood out to me is more like when I looked at data and how data is stored in all the current ERPs, it was so rigid. A male fashion wear company was looking at their t-shirt as color and size. A female swimwear brand looks at their product as cup size, torso length, color, and regular sizes, four different parameters. And none of the existing ERPs, especially in SMB markets, were giving this configurability to have different attributes that you need. And that's when it occurred to me that like there is no solution out there which is flexible enough for this market. If we do this, we could get our first customers easily.
So as you do that, do you end up getting to a point like, because I'm sure, like you said, every even though it's in the same industry, everybody's got different parameters that are important. Do you have to make everything customizable, or do you have to make it where everything's there and you get to choose what you want to use?
So basically, I built something called schemaless ERP. How database is there? I just built a schemaless ERP. And when you onboard, you can just fill out a spreadsheet of what parameters you need and what data type you need, and we will spin out the whole ERP. Our ERP was one of the most flexible ERP out there.
So even at $30,000, I mean, it's a hefty amount of money for some small businesses. Like, what are the size businesses that you're targeting?
Somewhere around 50 to 60 million, 30 to 50 million is a sweet spot. And for most of them, we are a premium software because the flexibility and everything we provide basically means you are paying 1.5 times the average SMB ERPs. But that never was an issue because people just want operations to be smooth. They are willing to pay the premium as long as you provide them with the very good software.
Well, I'm sure the premium is a savings in all the time wasted on bad systems.
Yes, absolutely.
And what role is your co-founder playing at this
So she
time?
was also in onboarding meeting. She was also like helping like smooth things over with customers. Every time onboarding, just making sure they give the data right. And if the data needs any cleansing, she was doing it. So she does not have technical background, so she can't code, but she was really good with Excel sheets. And she was taking care of any data sanitization that's needed in an Excel sheet.
So, well, if you can't build it there, you can't program it. So you got to figure a way to get it there first, you know?
Yep. So you need to take the data from an existing ERP solution and move it over. And during that time, there is a lot of cleansing needed. And
Yeah.
she was doing the cleansing.
So you start building all of these different pieces out. How long from when you leave MongoDB to where your company's profitable?
We are not profitable. It's a VC backed company. I don't think profitability is what we are really going for, but
Oh,
rather growth.
wait, explain that a little bit, because it's a lot of things the students, here in my class, like they're trying to build a sustainable model. So with profitability not being the focus right now, what is that focus? And then where do you get the resources to do that?
So first, one of the major thing you want to do is inflection point and be able to show that like, hey, I spent $1 million to get my first $200,000 like customers. From this point on, you go and raise more funding to go from 200,000 to 2 million or 3 million. And it's a cycle, you just keep repeating it. One of the mistakes I did is kept the capital for nearly 2.5 years. But rather, what I should have done is take the capital, plan 13 to 40, 14, like 18 months, spend it, get your initial customers, get to an inflection point where you can go from few 100,000 to millions just through sales. It's like your product is built. This product can satisfy $1 million worth of ARR, and you would go after the growth. Think of Uber or Lyft, right? All VCs wants to see is mostly around like 10 years from now, if I put in this much money, would you be profitable 5 years from now? I feel like during pitching, we say we will be profitable in 2 to 3 years, but the truth, what happens is that, like with the current product, if you are profitable, you would be spending more to build something else as well. Like you don't want to be stagnant, right? If you are stagnant, someone else will come and take over your place. So you want to spend 100,000, build something, try to be profitable for that 100,000 product. But by the time you reach that profitability, you will be spending on R&D to build more features or something on different vertical industries, so that the cycle continues, where you spend, build, sales catch up on that feature or product, and during that time you are building the next one. Innovation needs to keep happening.
How are you feeling at this point now that you got some, customers under your belt? Like, do you feel like your sales pitch is getting tight? Like, do you feel pretty good going in now? Like, hey, I got something you're going to want?
So I would say, I think 3 4 months back I felt pretty good about it, but AI changed everything. Now I am like, the more people I speak with, I'm literally questioning, like, should I just scrape the product we have built and build something for future? It's going to be, especially this year and next year, as AI and technology evolve, it's always going to be a challenge for an existing company. New AI native companies, it's pretty easy, right? You raise funding, you are jumping in and just building it. But for people like us, you have customers, you have built something in a traditional way. The world is changing. Do you invest in the changing world, or do you just go and sell the right current one so that you are ready for the next fundraise?
Real quick, I got to ask. So, as you're kind of getting your sales pitch down and you're getting really good at this, you have any stories where it went really wrong?
I'm not from a sales background. So last 6 months, especially I've been doing most of the sales part. And I don't know whether it went wrong, but initially I had so much hesitations. I'm not someone who just speaks up or like to be, I'm not an extrovert. All my jobs were technical jobs. I would love to sit in your room 24/7, just code. So the switch was a little harder than, it was not hard. I think without ChatGPT, it might have been really hard. ChatGPT made it easier, but it was still like more like emotionally being in the comfort zone, right? Like this podcast, I would never have done if you have asked me a year back. I am not someone who comes and talks about it. So those switches took some time, and I think personality has to change a bit.
How did ChatGPT make it easier for you?
So I would be like, hey, these are all the things I want to say. Can you tone it down? Can you make it not non-technical? And let's brainstorm a script.
So here's a question, Harish. Did ChatGPT tell you to do that, or did you have a sense of that's what needed to be said?
I think at some point I just wanted to be myself. I'm not someone who is going to be like, I'm the best. This product is the world's best product. I'm not that person.
But you were vulnerable, you were honest, and even just the fact of showing what you may or may not do right or wrong, it goes a long way with potential investors.
Yeah. And other things that helped me were like, because I was like this and very honest in saying, I don't know much about the industry. I'm still learning even after 2 years. So every first call, what happens is like, I will let my customers walk through their team, walk through their structure, walk through their business, then feed everything into ChatGPT, come up with a flow chart. Then the next call, I go and be like, hey, this is the flow chart. These are the people, these are the responsibilities within your company. Let me walk through it and tell me if I am going wrong somewhere. Surprisingly, people loved it because people are like, we never imagined our own company, our own organization in this kind of like flowchart way.
Yeah.
And that kind of immediately helped build the trust. So it worked two ways, right? One, you build the trust. Two, it helped my own understanding of business.
So as a founder, 2.5 years in, like, what is a lesson that like you never thought it would be like this with a founder? Like, what was something that was a little bit of a reality check?
I would say confidence. I think I should be more confident. Even when I started, I was not as confident as I am right now about my own abilities. And facing some of the challenges are more like you are doing something hard. People always say that it's going to be hard on your family, it's going to be hard on your friends. And when you actually do it, you realize it's freaking yes.
Well, and it's hard because not a lot of people, unless they've done it, understand it. So it's kind of lonely.
It is a lonely road. It's like nice to speak with founders. Also, one of the thing I realized is like even founder communities, it's helpful only if you are all in the same state. Like it's nice to speak with people who have raised VC funding and pre-seed versus people who have never raised funding. The same is true for Series A founders. It would be nice for them to speak with Series A founders over like people like me because I don't think I can get what they are going through.
No, there's got to be some sort of common ground
Yeah.
along the way. With all the schooling that you've had, is there anything that you wish you would have learned in school that is kind of escaping a lot of our academics?
I think one of the things that did help me compared to my undergrad is in my grad school, I had to take 5 subjects. I had to do 2 jobs just to make sure I pay my bills. That level of hard work is something that helped me in my journey here. And if I haven't been that scrappy and had to work that hard during my grad school, maybe all these would have been like even more harder. But in terms of education system, I feel like no one can teach you. Every day it's unique. Every problem you face is unique. And every company you start is going to be very different. I don't know if education system can teach you anything here.
Along the way, did you have any mentors or anybody that really was like a big inspiration behind what you did?
More than inspiration, my life was so easy because of my MongoDB days. So when I first started, my VPs at MongoDB used to brainstorm about with my for the architecture. And when I had management questions, I reached out to my CISO. She still grabs lunch with me. She still talks through like any problems I would have. I don't know whether I can call the names out, but then there are like CTOs of other big companies who are all just like, hey, we don't need money. We don't need even equity. We are just here to support people who are coming through entrepreneurship journey. And they were all great.
Did you get any like piece of advice that really helped guide your decision making?
Being confident of myself. That's why I brought it up. People are like, you need to be more confident about your own abilities.
And what are you doing to work on that? Like, what are you doing to build that skill up? Because you can't just be confident. You got to work at it.
You keep getting pushed to an extent. At some point, you just be like, okay, I need to do this. The example I usually give in all the podcasts so far is like, when I started, someone asked me this question, like, hey, is your accent going to be an issue? I'm like, I don't think so because I worked in 10 years in the industry at Bloomberg, MongoDB. My whole MongoDB team was like literally Americans. The second question is like, now that you are a leader, would that be an issue? Like, no, I managed 10 Americans at Mongo. And then becomes like, hey, it just kept on going, right? Like now you are a founder, would that then be an issue? And 2 days later, I met one of my mentors and be like, am I in the right place? I don't see a lot of immigrants around in terms of founders. Like even Indians who are founders are often end up being second generation, third generation, right? And then he was like, no, I don't think we would have written $1 million check if we don't trust that you can do this.
Well, it's funny when you talk about confidence because we all struggle with it. The ones that don't struggle with it are usually problematic. But I'll be honest, when I struggled early on, when I did capital raising and even just building businesses, I found where my confidence came from was more when I got confident in what I didn't know. And when I got to the point where I knew what I didn't know, I could figure out what I needed to know in order to get there. And when I stopped looking at getting confident in what I actually knew versus what I didn't, I could usually go in a meeting and be like, "Oh, I don't worry about the other stuff because I know it. These are the things I'm unsure about and I need to get you the answers for."
So that now actually like one of the uncomfortable thing I had when I started this company is that remember every time you ask me about previous company, I always say that I had smartest people around me, right? So every time I had to do something, I had very constructive criticism on where I could improve, even like whether it's a software, whether it's a planning projects. But then suddenly you lose that, and it's like you have to do everything. You need to be confident on like, okay, my architecture is sure. It took me some time to get adjusted to that, but here I am after 2 years now. I feel comfortable making those decisions.
Well, Harish, while we're kind of wrapping things up and like my big question is what is the goal for you and Flair, whether it's in the next 5 or 10 years? Like, what are we working towards?
I personally want to first figure out how AI is changing everything. I don't think AI is there to replace human jobs right now, but also it's not something I am dismissive of. So it's not 5 years, 6 years. For me, what it is for in the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks is going to be the most important part of the journey.
And it sounds like you're just a sponge. You're looking for as much information as possible in order to make that pivot, that commitment.
It's not just information, it's more of like, it's my story. It's going to be my decision whether I am going to make the decision and I'm going to fall on the life if it doesn't work out. But I have to make that. And it's just more like, am I doing the right, in the sense, more like, should I shut down Flair? Should I just literally do a AI native ERP? Should I move my customer off of the current one? Or should I just not do anything with AI and keep up the current one and hope to get more customers? These are big decisions, but I have to make it. And once I have made the decision, I'm going to stick to it. Whether it works out or not, it's on me.
So meeting that goal, looking out several years, let's say at the end of the day, what do you want your friends and family and loved ones to say about you?
I never thought about it, honestly. But if you ask them, everyone would say the same thing is like, one, I chase and I don't know when to stop, especially when it comes to career.
And you're driven. That's excellent.
Yes.
Well, Harish, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you. I really enjoyed all these topics. It made me think as well.
Well, it is, and you know, it's like these conversations are ongoing, and then you take them to the shower with you, and you drive to work, and you think about them, and then you got to find your partner that you can talk to it, and whether that's your romantic partner, your business partner, or just your best friend. These are the conversations that are important.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. To watch more episodes of Influencing Entrepreneurs, be sure to subscribe on YouTube at Nexagy Education.